What's up, nerds? Tune in today to see if the seller of this 1994 C4 widebody can get back all the money he paid for it to the market in 2021.
Get those words!
Well, holy hooby, you know what that sound means. It means it's time for a brand new episode of the Bid Nerds, your daily nerd out on the most interesting car of the day. Welcome to the show. My name is John Polnik. I'm your host in Las Vegas, along with my partner, Michael Deeb, in San Francisco. How are you, Michael Deeb?
I am still basking in the glow of Sunday's car show at the Pit Stop Automotive, the very first Porsche heavy cars und cafe San Francisco, hosted by me and Yuri Sanakis, and of course co-hosted and originated by you, JP, for doing the show for 6 years in Las Vegas. Man, you know, you got a good show, you got a good reputation, and it translates. It just like it was it felt very at home in San Francisco, and it was really cool to have half the people in the crowd are people we didn't know. So that was really neat that the folks that we did invite turned around, invited their friends, and a lot of those people showed up. And so we got to meet a bunch of really nice guys that came down. We had a Ferrari 328 and a BMW 3.0 CSL show up, and there were a handful of 964s and G-bodied Carreras and convertibles, cabriolets. I mean, that was awesome, man. It was a really good turnout. Some folks came over from the East Bay and a couple of GT3s. There was a bright yellow and a bright green, 997 and 992 GT3s. I mean, it was
there was a GT4 RS there too. Proud to pass
That's
the torch. You did a great job, and look forward to seeing that show continue. Still doing it here in Las Vegas as well. One thing we haven't done, Michael Deeb, I'm realizing now as we're recording this, we're behind the eight ball here. We said that when we'd reached 1,000 subscribers that we would name your studio. And we still haven't done that. So we're going to have to make the promise that next week we will go ahead and we will pick the name.
Are
this
we
is your
picking
last
or
chance.
are we picking or is the herd picking? What are we going to do? Like,
I don't know.
Should we take like the top three names and let the herd vote on them?
Yeah. So now's your last chance. Put in the comments below what you think Deeb Studio should be named, and we will go ahead and name it next week. We'll narrow it down. We'll do a vote or something like that, or maybe we'll send people Instagram. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But let us know the name, and we'll settle it by next week.
The Vroom Room, the Bid Cave, and then there was a good one about like Deeb's green
fist
fisting
room or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's really
Deeb's room for fisting. Yeah.
Yeah, which
is what he's doing in there when it's not bid
at all times. Yeah,
that is true. All right, so you're wondering what this show is. If you're new to the Bid Nerds, thanks for sticking around this long. What we do is we pick the most interesting car of the day from all these auction sites, like Bring a Trailer, Cars and Bids, P-Car Market, Haggerty Marketplace, and more. And we find that most interesting car, what we think is the most interesting car, and we have a conversation about that. We include you in that conversation. And then we want you to kind of play along with our little game here. It's like The Price is Right. We predict what we think the auction results will be for that car, and then stick around to the end of the episode because we will reconcile our predictions with what actually happens. So we'll show you the results. So stick around to the end, play along with us. When we make our predictions, you can put your prediction in the comments below and then stick around to the end as well and see how you did, how your bids stack up against the nerds. So let's get started. Michael Deeb, what is today's most interesting car of the day?
John, this is for you and me. This is like as good as it gets. Bring a Trailer found this 1994 Porsche 911 Carrera C4 wide body out of Dallas, Texas, of all places. I mean, good God, 64,000 miles. John, this car sold on Bring a Trailer in November of 2021, but I don't know if we covered it. It doesn't actually look familiar. In 2021, this car sold for $222,000 on a whopping 59 bids. But here it sits today. The guy who owns it now is taking some new pictures, and it doesn't have any more miles on it than it did when he bought it 2 years ago. So it just seems like he's just been sitting on it. I say give it to me because I'll drive it. I would, John, I would let go of my turbo look for this car in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think twice. I really like this car. It looks great in polar silver. The wheels that are on it, JP, are not the authentic speed lines. These are the cheap knockoff versions with the Porsche caps. So whatever that, there's no value to those wheels. They just look really good on the car. What else can I tell you about it? The gray interior is certainly not my favorite, but I wouldn't kick that leather out of bed for eating cookies. You know what I'm saying? But the C4 wide body is a real interesting car, John. I know you know, but maybe some of the people in the audience don't. In 1994, Porsche had dropped the 993 model on the rest of the world, but they just didn't have the production ramped up enough to also introduce it to North America. So in North America, the 964 generation car lived on for one more year. And as such, in 1994, we got several different special. There was a variety of cool cars at your local Porsche dealership, and that the model wouldn't look stale. It was to kind of help sales. So in 1993, Porsche had done a wide body, turbo bodied, but normally aspirated motor, all-wheel drive anniversary car. They called it the 30-year Jubilee. And that car primarily came in a purple color, but you could get it in other shades. And it was a really cool model. I don't know exactly how many they made, but in 1994, when the 964 was a little bit old, long in the tooth, they brought 260, let me read that number to you, 267 of them to the United States. And all in that, that basic configuration like the Jubilee. So the wide body, normally aspirated motor, and all-wheel drive. That's the only way you could get the C4 was wide body was the C4. But this car in polar silver looks fantastic. It looks to be in nice condition. They're super rare, and the values on them have obviously kind of started to go through the roof. When I was at Godden, I looked at one, John, that was white, and I think it was in LA. It had like 86,000 miles, so a little more than this. And they were asking like, I kid you not, like, or maybe it was over 100,000 miles, but they're asking like $86,000 for the car. And I thought about buying it and didn't. And I kicked myself that I didn't get that one. And then, of course, we had the really nice one at Godden Inventory, which was a car I'd been following on the East Coast. So there's really only a few of them. And your boy here, I've got a fetish for this model. I really want one bad. This would be a nice one to have, but I'd have to sell my car first, so the timing is bad. It's one of those things, man. But really nice, JP. I send it to you, John. What would be the first thing you would do? Would you lower this car more, or do you like the way it sits? It looks okay to me. Would you want it any lower than that? And exhaust, and would you try to change the interior? Would you go get some racing seats and pull those gray seats out of there? What would you do?
Yeah, this car, it depends on what you planned on doing with it, right? So this fella bought it, didn't drive it, and now he thinks he's going to flip it for more money or something like that.
I don't know about that.
I think he is in for bad news. I know we haven't gotten to the bids yet, but you said he bought this this sold for what?
$222,000 2 years
he's
ago.
about to lose his ass. So if you're going to buy this car, the height thing, I actually think the stance is pretty darn good on this car. It's got Bilstein coilovers, so it'd be very easy to do all of that. If you're planning on keeping it, absolutely put some Recaro pole positions in there, color match the backs and change that stupid stereo. But look, all those things, I don't think really, that's not what's interesting about this car. What's interesting about this car is that the 964s are awesome, and people love 964s, and they are certainly one of the more popular cars in the Porsche lineup. But regular 964s seem to be bringing all the money. So if you've got a C4 coupe or a C2 coupe, narrow body, that car used to be a $60,000 car. Now it's a $110,000, $120,000 car. This car, the wide bodies shot up and dropped. They went up, and then now they this guy definitely bought at the very top of the market, and they came back down. And I think that is, I think it's going to be even worse now. I think the value of these is going to continue to go down for a minute. And the economy is just in a place where people aren't going to be they're not going to be speculating like that. They're going to want a deal, not necessarily a screaming deal, but nobody's going to pay a premium for this car with 60-something thousand miles on it. It's really nice. It's beautiful. I love it. It's probably one of the more beautiful Porsches of all time, and I would love to own and drive this car. But $220,000, man, you're dude, you can get an RS for that, a Euro RS. And, ship it in, and that could happen, and that's absolutely what I would buy way before I'd buy this car, even though this car arguably looks better. You're going to just get a much better driving experience. I think this guy should be just camping on this car. What do you think the value of this car is going to be?
Well, John, you're so right. A couple of years ago, the values of the special editions of the 964 shot through the roof. We saw crazy values even for RS Americas.
Yeah.
And these cars, there were a handful of these cars that brought well over $200,000. But the last few ones that we've seen, because we've covered a couple of them this year, have struggled to demonstrate similar results. And at the moment right now in the classified world, the market is flooded with RS Americas. There are like 5 or 6 for sale in this country right now. Some of them listed at $200,000, and they are just sitting there. None of them are selling. They're lingering. And the longer they linger, the tougher it's going to be to sell, and nowhere near for the money they're asking, right? So yeah, maybe now's the time to buy one. The interesting thing, there's an inversion in Europe right now. The Jubilee cars have started to shoot through the roof. They're bringing, well over 200,000 euros in Europe right now. But there are actually 2 or 3 C4 wide bodies in the classified. Beverly Hills has got one, and there's another one on Auto Trader. So JP, I think your analysis is pretty spot on. And so I'm going to give you my bid and say that this guy is not going to see his $222,000 come back to him. I don't even think he's going to break 200. I'm going to give it to you at a completely made up $186,000.
Man, that's a good number. I had 185 in my head. I'm not trying to dip you. I'm not trying to dip you at, I'm not trying to park $1,000 under you just because, because we're playing the Price is Right game. I don't think he's getting, there's no way this thing gets to 200. I mean, it's at 155 already, and we do see, it's not uncommon on Bring a Trailer to see upwards of 30 to 50% increase in price on the last half hour of an auction. But I just don't see it happening on this one. So where is this guy's reserve? Is he unloading this car because he needs the money, or does he really think he's going to make? I mean, I got to think his reserve is what he sold it for. Maybe at 200, because he's his own best comp. You know what I'm saying? Because the car sold 2 years ago on the same platform. So anyway, what's your bid then? I said 185. Yeah,
185. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
all
mark
right.
Over here. Yep. All right, guys, plug your number in below. What do you think this wide body 964 will bring? We're gonna find out right after this. What?
For the money at that $150,000 to $180,000 range, would you rather have a similar mileage, similar condition RS America or C4 wide body?
RS America. I mean, there's just no the C4 wide body is the better looking car.
It is the better looking. It's the looker, but the other one's the better driver.
The RS is the better driver, and for just a little bit more money. I mean, you're talking like $20,000 more. You probably get a Euro RS for somewhere in that 200 to 250 range, and that's way better car. So yeah, no question. It's the better driver as opposed to this. Now, this car for 150 or something, that's a different story. My buddy T Cruz, shout out to T Cruz. He owns one of these, but his has a whole bunch of miles on it. And his has mods and stuff like that. So,
but it's a great driver. Who cares?
A great driver, and that's the one you want, right? That's the one you can get into and just go do the things. Whereas this one, you're kind of be like, it's 1,000 that miles, at 60-something thousand miles, where it's not super low, but it's well under 100. So you're gonna be like guilty putting miles on it. I don't know, especially if you pay a premium for it. If you were able to get this car at a decent value, you wouldn't feel so bad. But if you pay top dollar for this, you're definitely not gonna want to put any miles on it. So, all right, now that we've given you that extra information, if you haven't already, put your bid in down below, hit the subscribe, like, and notification button, and we'll be back with the results of this auction right after this.
I'm a driver, and I'm going to Vegas Auto Fest. The drivers are coming. September 16th.
Hey guys, I gotta tell you about our friends Godden Porsche of Las Vegas and Godden Classic. If you're looking for a new Porsche or a classic, you gotta call our friend Steve at Godden, this guy. Save yourself the hassle of screwing around with all the auctions like we always talk about and just talk to Steve. He'll find you the classic Porsche you're looking for. Godden Porsche of Las Vegas. And we are in the future. Thanks for sticking around, Nerd Herd, Nerd Nation. We love the Nerd Nation for sticking around and watching this show as much as they do. Michael Deeb had to go on vacation, so there it is, you guys. He's slacking, but hey, he's taking time away from the fishing pole to come in here and hang out with us nerds. So thanks, Michael Deeb. Let's get you back out on the dock right away. So real quick, what happened with this wide body? Did this make it happen?
JP, this is a dream car for you and me. This 1994 911 Carrera C4 wide body, super rare, one of 267 on BAT. Very fair condition, very fair miles, low miles, really. We both went big on this car, which is not typical for us, but I said 186,000, and you parked your bid right underneath me at 185,000. John, our car sold, no surprise. $215,033 on 30 bids. I'm telling you, in this market, that makes the C4 wide body a blue chip, because that is a retail number. I know it's a rare car by the numbers, but that is all the money. Congratulations.
For sure. I mean, this car,
go
what's that? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this car, I really thought this guy was going to take a bath. I mean, you know, how much did it sell for? He bought it on BAT a few months before, like last year, right? For what was it, 225 or 250? I can't remember.
$222,000 in 21 in 2021.
So he had basically somewhere around a $10,000 net loss over that time.
Yeah.
Which is pretty darn good in today's market. I'm with you. I thought this was going to be a bloodbath. I didn't think it would sell. I thought basically at $180 something it would FTS, because I was quite sure that the owner had high expectations. It's nice to see that he was somewhat realistic and had a reserve lower than what he bought it for. So at the very least, that person, did have some kind of come to Jesus and realize that, okay, the prices on these are going down, not necessarily up, which would have been, more expected, So congratulations to the seller. Again, I keep saying with inflation, I mean, there's a lot, you've probably got another $10,000, $15,000 of loss there, because $225,000 today is a lot different than $225,000 a year ago. So factoring in what you lost in inflation and a bunch of other things, it's going to be, I think we're going to see more and more of this kind of stuff. Again, if the sellers are reasonable, if the platforms are reasonable and setting their reserves, like you've said in previous episodes, whoever's in charge of reserves these days those guys are going to have to really start sharpening their pencils to make deals happen. And I think we're going to see a lot more after auction close type deals too. I think we're going to see FTSs and then arrangements for sales like right after the cars don't make reserves and stuff like that. So the people are going to be the guys at BAT, guys at P-Car Market, guys at Cars and Bids, guys at Haggerty Marketplace. You guys are going to be a lot busier after the close than maybe you used to be in the past. What do you think of that?
No. Absolutely. The other thing too, I think this is still all the money for this car, which is surprising. Considering the market has softened. And yeah, in real terms, in real dollars, this guy certainly may have lost money. But I'm still shocked to see one of these cars bring, anything over our bids is all the money for this car. But to get back to $215,000, I mean, that's almost a jaw dropper in this market. So, yeah.
Great car though. Hell, if you're going to pay
overpriced
if you're going to overpay for something, may as well be one of these and drive it around.
Right.
Just one of the most beautiful Porsches of all time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you get stuck holding the bag, it's this car. That's for sure.
All right, what do you guys think of the results? Let us know in the comments below. If you have stuck around this long and haven't subscribed, liked, or hit the notification button, what the hell are you doing? You're part of the Nerd Herd if you're here still. We do thank you. And we'll be back tomorrow with another most interesting car. Deeb, go back to fishing.
those nerds!